When most people think of cavities, the first thing that comes to mind is sugar. From childhood, we've been told, don't eat candy or you'll get cavities. And while there's a partial truth to that, it's far from the whole story. If sugar alone was the cause, then every single person who eats sugar would have the same level of tooth decay, and those who avoid it completely would never get cavities. But that's not what happens. You can find people who eat sweets daily but rarely get a cavity, and others who hardly touch sugar yet struggle with dental problems. Why is that? The answer lies in your internal chemistry, the environment inside your mouth and body that determines whether your teeth are strong and resistant or fragile and prone to decay. Your teeth are not dead rocks sitting in your mouth. They are living tissue made of minerals, protected by enamel, and nourished from the inside through tiny microscopic tubules that connect to your blood supply. When your internal chemistry is balanced, these tubules deliver a steady flow of calcium, phosphorus, and other minerals to strengthen and maintain enamel. When it's unbalanced, your teeth begin to lose minerals faster than they can be replaced, making them vulnerable to bacterial attack. One of the biggest factors affecting your internal chemistry is pH balance. The enamel on your teeth can withstand a lot, but it has a weakness. It begins to dissolve when the pH in your mouth drops below about 5.5. Acidic environments can be caused by sugar, yes, but also by starchy foods, acidic drinks, stress, and even certain metabolic conditions. A constant acidic state erodes enamel like rain on stone, slowly weakening it until cavities form. This is why some people who don't eat much sugar still develop cavities. Their body's chemistry favors acidity. Another overlooked factor is mineral balance in your diet and bloodstream. Your body maintains strict control over calcium and phosphorus levels in your blood. If your diet is low in these minerals, or if your digestion and absorption are impaired, your body will pull minerals from wherever it can get them, including your teeth and bones. Over time, this depletes your enamel's defenses from the inside, leaving your teeth more porous and vulnerable. Your oral microbiome also plays a major role. The mouth is home to over 700 species of bacteria, most of which are harmless or even beneficial. But when your diet favors sugar and processed carbs, harmful acid-producing bacteria like Streptococcus mutans can dominate, producing acid that breaks down enamel. If your saliva and mineral levels are healthy, these acids get neutralized quickly. If they're not, the damage begins almost instantly. Think of cavities not as an isolated mouth problem, but as a whole body health indicator. If your internal chemistry is optimal, minerals in balance, pH stable, saliva healthy, and microbiome diverse, your teeth will naturally resist decay even in the presence of occasional sugar. But if your internal environment is compromised, even small amounts of carbs or acid can trigger damage. This understanding flips the narrative on dental health. Instead of obsessing over brushing immediately after every meal or using stronger toothpaste, the real long-term solution is to optimize your internal chemistry. That means nourishing your body with the minerals and vitamins it needs, stabilizing your pH through diet and lifestyle, and maintaining a strong oral microbiome. Sugar is just one small piece of the puzzle. The real cause and the real solution lies much deeper. If you want, I can now move on to Keynote 2 and give you the next 600-word expansion, so we build this script step by step without losing the motivational flow. Do you want me to continue with Keynote 2 now? You said 2, ChatGPT said Keynote 2. The real solution starts with strengthening enamel from the inside out. When most people think of strengthening their teeth, they imagine using special toothpaste fluoride treatments or mouth rinses. While these can help to a degree, they're like painting over a cracked wall without fixing the foundation underneath. Your enamel is the hardest substance in your body, but it's not indestructible, and once it's worn down past a certain point, it cannot regenerate. That's why the key is not just to protect enamel from the outside, it's to build and maintain it from the inside out. Enamel is made primarily of hydroxyapatite, a crystalline structure composed of calcium and phosphate, plus small amounts of other trace minerals like magnesium, zinc, and fluoride. But here's the important part: these minerals don't just sit on the surface of your teeth. They are constantly moving in and out through a process called demineralization and remineralization. Every time you eat or drink something acidic or high in sugar, minerals are pulled out of enamel. Every time your mouth returns to a neutral pH and minerals are present in your saliva and bloodstream, they can be redeposited into enamel. If you want strong teeth, the balance between these two processes has to tip in favor of remineralization. The inside-out approach starts with nutrient availability. Your saliva is essentially a mineral delivery system for your teeth. If your diet is low in calcium, phosphorus, or magnesium, your saliva can't supply these minerals to your enamel. That means your enamel will weaken no matter how much you brush or floss. And it's not just about eating foods high in these minerals, it's about absorbing them. Your digestive health plays a huge role here. If your stomach acid is too low, or your gut lining is compromised, you won't absorb minerals efficiently. This is why people with gut issues often have dental problems despite eating a nutrient-rich diet. Another critical factor in inside-out enamel strengthening is fat-soluble vitamins, especially vitamins D2. Vitamin D3 helps you absorb calcium from your food into your bloodstream, while vitamin K2 directs that calcium into the right places, your bones and teeth, instead of allowing it to deposit in soft tissues like arteries. Without enough K2, calcium can be misdirected, leaving your teeth undernourished. This is why people living on processed foods, even if they get calcium from milk or fortified products, can still suffer from weak enamel. There's also a hormonal aspect to this. Parathyroid hormone, insulin, and cortisol can all influence calcium metabolism. Chronic stress, for instance, raises cortisol, which can interfere with bone and tooth mineralization. This means your lifestyle and stress management aren't just about your mental health. They directly affect your enamel's ability to stay strong. From a practical standpoint, strengthening enamel from the inside out means eating a mineral-rich diet, supporting gut health, and ensuring optimal vitamin D3 and K2 intake. This includes foods like pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed dairy, leafy greens, bone broth, and fermented foods. It also means reducing processed carbs and sugars, which not only feed harmful oral bacteria, but also spike blood sugar, leading to mineral loss through urine. Imagine your enamel as a fortress wall. Brushing and flossing help clean the surface of that wall, but if the bricks themselves are crumbling from the inside, no amount of cleaning will protect it from collapse. By focusing on mineralizing the bricks from the inside, you create teeth that are naturally resistant to decay, are less sensitive to temperature changes, and able to withstand the constant acid challenges of daily life. This is a long-term, foundational solution, one that no quick, fix-mouth rinse can replace. When most people think of preventing cavities, they imagine brushing, flossing, and maybe using mouthwash. But there's an entire defense system in your mouth that works around the clock, even when you're sleeping, and that's your saliva. Far from being just spit, saliva is a highly complex, mineral-rich fluid that plays one of the most important roles in keeping your teeth healthy and cavity-free. Saliva is produced by your salivary glands, and it serves multiple purposes. First, it keeps your mouth moist, which helps wash away food particles and reduce bacterial overgrowth. But more importantly, saliva is saturated with calcium phosphate and bicarbonate, three powerful agents in the fight against tooth decay. Calcium and phosphate help remineralize enamel, while bicarbonate acts as a natural buffer, neutralizing the acids produced by bacteria after you eat. Without this buffering action, the pH in your mouth would drop, allowing acids to dissolve enamel more quickly. The flow of saliva is not constant. It increases when you chew and decreases when you're dehydrated, stressed, or sleeping. This is one of the reasons why cavities tend to form more easily in people with dry mouth, a condition called xerostomia. Whether caused by certain medications, chronic dehydration, or even mouth breathing, reduced saliva flow drastically increases the risk of tooth decay. In fact, dry mouth is one of the most overlooked contributors to cavities. People often assume they're brushing poorly when in reality their natural defense system simply isn't running at full capacity. The quality of saliva is just as important as the quantity. If your diet is low in minerals or you're deficient in vitamins D3 and K2, your saliva will not carry the right nutrients to strengthen enamel. Saliva is essentially your mouth's delivery service for minerals. And just like any delivery system, it's only as good as the cargo it carries. Without the raw materials your body gets from nutrient-rich foods, your saliva can't repair daily microscopic damage to your teeth. Another fascinating aspect of saliva is its role in controlling the oral microbiome. Your mouth is home to billions of bacteria, both good and bad. The good bacteria help crowd out the bad, preventing them from forming plaque and producing enamel, destroying acids. Saliva contains antimicrobial proteins and enzymes like lysozyme lactoferrin and peroxidase that help regulate bacterial balance. When saliva flow is healthy, harmful bacteria are kept in check naturally. When it's reduced, harmful bacteria can multiply, forming sticky biofilms that are much harder to remove through brushing alone. Saliva production is also tied to chewing and diet texture. Eating crunchy, fibrous foods like raw vegetables and nuts stimulates saliva flow, while eating soft, processed foods tends to reduce it. This is why traditional diets that included more raw and fibrous foods supported better oral health, even before modern dentistry existed. Additionally, hydration plays a direct role. Without adequate water intake, your body will prioritize essential functions like maintaining blood volume over producing saliva. Chronic mild dehydration might not feel extreme, but over time it can contribute to an acidic oral environment where cavities thrive. Lifestyle factors can also influence saliva quality. Stress, for instance, activates the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight mode, which reduces saliva production. That's why people often get a dry mouth when they're nervous. Chronic stress keeps saliva production lower than optimal, making teeth more vulnerable. Certain medications, especially antihistamines, antidepressants, and blood pressure drugs, can also reduce saliva flow, so people taking them need to pay extra attention to hydration, diet, and oral care. If you want to maximize your body's natural cavity-fighting power, you need to focus on producing abundant mineral-rich saliva. This means drinking enough water daily, eating whole foods rich in calcium and phosphorus, getting enough vitamins D3 and K2, managing stress, and stimulating saliva flow with chewing, whether through crunchy vegetables, sugar-free gum, or simply taking the time to chew your food thoroughly. The better your saliva, the more resilient your teeth will be against daily acid attacks. Do you want me to continue with Keynote 4 in the same detailed, motivational style you said 4? ChatGPT said, Keynote 4 dietary changes can flip the switch on cavity risk when it comes to dental health. Most people still believe the conversation begins and ends with brushing and flossing. While those are important habits, they are not the ultimate determinant of whether you develop cavities. The real game changer lies in what you put on your plate every single day. Diet can literally flip the switch on whether your mouth becomes a breeding ground for tooth decay or a fortress of enamel strength. The reason is simple. Cavities are caused by an imbalance between demineralization and remineralization. Every time you eat, especially if it's a carb-heavy or sugary meal, bacteria in your mouth feed on those sugars and produce acids. Those acids dissolve tiny amounts of enamel, that's demineralization. But your body can fight back through remineralization, or where minerals like calcium and phosphate are redeposited into the tooth structure. The deciding factor on which side wins isn't your toothbrush, it's the mineral availability in your body and the acidity of your mouth, both of which are directly influenced by diet. When your diet is filled with refined carbohydrates, sugar, and highly processed foods, you are constantly feeding the harmful bacteria that produce these enamel-destroying acids. These bacteria not only thrive but also create a sticky biofilm called plaque, which traps acids directly against your enamel, speeding up the decay process. The more frequently you snack on these foods, the less time your mouth spends in a neutral pH state where remineralization can occur. On the flip side, when you shift your diet to nutrient-dense, whole foods, you give your body the tools to constantly repair and strengthen your teeth from the inside out. This means getting plenty of fat-soluble vitamins A, D3, and K2. Vitamin A supports the development and repair of tooth structure and gums. Vitamin D3 is crucial for calcium absorption from your digestive system into your bloodstream. Vitamin K2 acts like a traffic cop, directing calcium into the bones and teeth instead of letting it deposit in arteries or soft tissues. Without this trio, calcium supplementation alone does very little for enamel health. Minerals are equally important. Calcium and phosphorus are the primary building blocks of enamel, while magnesium plays a role in making that calcium usable. These minerals are found in foods like grass-fed dairy, eggs, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and high-quality meats. But even if you eat these foods, poor digestion can block mineral absorption. That's why it's important to support your stomach acid production and gut health, because if your body can't absorb the nutrients, your teeth will never see them. One often overlooked factor is the importance of limiting snacking. Every time you eat, your mouth experiences an acid attack lasting around 20-30 minutes. If you're grazing all day, or your teeth are under constant acid pressure, and saliva never gets the chance to neutralize the pH and remineralize enamel. Switching to fewer, nutrient-rich meals gives your teeth the downtime they need to recover and rebuild. Another powerful dietary shift is increasing the intake of foods that naturally support oral pH and remineralization. These include raw cheese, grass-fed butter, liver, oily fish, leafy greens, fermented vegetables, and bone broth. These foods not only deliver minerals but also support the production of strong, mineral-rich saliva. Avoiding processed vegetable oils is equally important as they promote inflammation, which can weaken gum tissue and make the mouth more vulnerable to bacterial overgrowth. Hydration plays a role as well. Water, especially mineral-rich spring water, helps keep your saliva flowing and your mouth's pH in balance. Acidic beverages like soda, sports drinks, and even fruit juice can erode enamel directly, regardless of your brushing habits. If you consume them, it's best to do so with a meal and rinse with water afterward rather than sipping them all day. In short, your diet can either make your mouth a hostile place for cavity, causing bacteria, or give them exactly what they need to thrive. You have far more control than you think, and it doesn't come from your bathroom cabinet. It comes from your kitchen. When you nourish your body with the right nutrients, you tip the scales toward remineralization, and your teeth can become naturally resistant to decay. Inside your mouth is an entire microscopic ecosystem, a bustling community of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that live on your tongue, gums, and teeth. Scientists call this the oral microbiome. Just like the gut microbiome, it has both good and bad residents. Some bacteria protect your teeth, neutralize acids, and even help remineralize enamel. Others, however, produce acid as they digest food particles, eroding your enamel and paving the way for cavities and gum disease. Which side dominates is largely determined by what you choose to eat every single day. The harmful bacteria that cause cavities, such as Streptococcus mutans, have a very clear food preference. or they thrive on sugars and starches. When you eat bread, pasta, sweets, crackers, or even frequent fruit juices, these bacteria break those carbohydrates down into simple sugars and ferment them into acids. Those acids sit directly on the enamel surface, dissolving microscopic amounts of minerals. Over time, these repeated acid attacks weaken your teeth to the point where cavities form. Now here's the important part. It's not just about the total sugar you eat, but also how often you feed these bacteria. Every sugary snack or sip restarts the acid production cycle. If your diet keeps harmful bacteria in a constant state of feast, they'll compete the beneficial bacteria, disrupt the oral microbiome balance, and turn your mouth into a cavity-friendly environment. Beneficial bacteria, on the other hand, prefer a low-sugar environment with plenty of mineral availability. They help by producing substances that neutralize acids and by occupying the same real estate on your teeth that harmful bacteria want, leaving less room for the bad guys to stick and form plaque. When you eat a nutrient-dense diet with proteins, healthy fats, and mineral-rich vegetables, you naturally give the good bacteria a competitive edge. This is why a high-sugar diet doesn't just cause cavities. It reshapes the entire ecosystem of your mouth. Overtime bacteria become dominant, your saliva pH drops, and your natural remineralization process struggles to keep up. In this state, brushing and flossing alone will never be enough because the internal chemistry is working against you. Certain foods can actively shift your oral microbiome toward health. Raw, grass-fed dairy like cheese and yogurt provides calcium and phosphorus while also creating a more alkaline environment, which bad bacteria hate. Fermented vegetables like sauerkraut or kimchi introduce beneficial probiotics, which can seed your mouth with friendly bacterial strains. Sugar-free xylitol gum not only stimulates saliva production, but also inhibits Streptococcus mutans directly. It's also worth noting that refined carbohydrates, even ones that don't taste sweet, like crackers or chips, still break down into sugars in your mouth. Many people underestimate these hidden sugars and wonder why they still develop cavities despite avoiding candy. For harmful bacteria, starch is just sugar in disguise. Hydration also plays a role here. Dry mouth reduces saliva flow, and without saliva, you lose one of the most powerful defenses against harmful bacteria. Saliva helps wash away food particles, buffers acidity, and delivers minerals to the enamel surface. A dry mouth is like a desert where only the toughest, most destructive bacteria survive. And those are the ones you don't want. If you want to control cavities long-term, you have to think beyond brushing and start thinking about feeding the right bacteria. You can either nourish the army that protects your teeth or feed the invaders that destroy them. Every meal and snack is essentially casting a vote for which team wins the war in your mouth. Once you consistently tip the balance toward beneficial bacteria, you'll find that cavities stop forming as easily and your teeth stay stronger without constant dental intervention. Do you want me to continue with Keynote 6 now? You said 6, a ChatGPT said. Our Keynote 6, the 3-1 best way to prevent cavities, nutrient-driven remineralization. When most people think of preventing cavities, they picture a toothbrush, a tube of fluoride toothpaste, and maybe a mouthwash bottle lined up on their bathroom sink. While these tools do have their place, they are only addressing the surface of the problem. Cavities aren't just an external issue, they're an internal one. Your teeth are living structures made of specialized cells, nerves, and a constant flow of minerals. They are in a continuous state of demineralization and remineralization. If you want to truly prevent cavities, you have to tilt that balance in favor of remineralization. And that means giving your body the nutrients it needs to rebuild from within. Enamel, the outer protective layer of your teeth, is the hardest substance in your body, harder than bone. But it's not indestructible. Every time you eat or drink something acidic or sugary, enamel loses a tiny bit of its mineral content. This is normal, and your body is designed to repair it. The repair process depends on the constant supply of minerals like calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium, along with fat-soluble vitamins that help your body absorb and direct those minerals to the right place. Without these raw materials, your enamel simply cannot rebuild effectively, leaving it thinner, weaker, and more vulnerable to decay. Let's talk about the main players in nutrient-driven remineralization. First is calcium, the structural foundation of your enamel. Without sufficient dietary calcium, your body may even pull it from your bones and teeth to keep blood calcium levels stable. Next is phosphorus, which works hand in hand with calcium to form hydroxyapatite, the crystalline structure that makes enamel so hard. Then there's magnesium, which doesn't just strengthen enamel, but also plays a role in activating the enzymes that rebuild it. The mineral story doesn't end there. Without vitamin D, your body cannot absorb calcium effectively from food. Even if you consume calcium-rich meals, a deficiency in vitamin D means it won't reach your teeth in meaningful amounts. Vitamin K2 is equally critical because it directs calcium into your bones and teeth instead of allowing it to deposit in soft tissues or arteries where it can cause harm. Vitamin A supports the health of the dentin layer beneath your enamel, ensuring structural integrity. Together, These nutrients create an environment where your body can naturally restore what everyday wear and tear takes away. This is why brushing harder or using more fluoride will never fully solve the problem if your diet is lacking. Remineralization is a biological process that starts from the inside out. If the bloodstream feeding your teeth is rich in minerals and vitamins, your enamel can repair itself far more effectively. If it's not, you can have the best brushing routine in the world and still see cavities forming. To maximize remineralization, you need a nutrient-dense diet focused on whole, unprocessed foods. This means high-quality protein sources like pasture, raised eggs, grass-fed beef, and well-caught fish for phosphorus and fat-soluble vitamins. Include raw or lightly cooked leafy greens, nuts, and seeds for magnesium. Fermented foods like natto, certain cheeses, and sauerkraut can be great sources of vitamin K2. For vitamin D, get daily sun exposure when possible, and consider supplementation if you live in low light regions. It's also crucial to improve digestion so that you're actually absorbing these nutrients. Many people are unknowingly mineral deficient, not because they don't eat enough minerals, but because their gut health is compromised. Low stomach acid, for example, can make it harder to absorb calcium and magnesium. This is why optimizing your gut environment through probiotics, adequate stomach acid, and avoiding gut-irritating foods directly benefits your teeth. Another factor in nutrient-driven remineralization is maintaining a healthy pH in the mouth. Even with plenty of minerals in your system, if your oral environment is constantly acidic, the rebuilding process slows down. Saliva, when properly supported by good hydration and mineral intake, acts like a liquid conveyor belt, delivering calcium and phosphate directly to the enamel surface while keeping acids in check. When you combine a nutrient-rich diet with healthy digestion and a supportive oral environment, you create the conditions for your teeth to stay cavity-resistant naturally. You're no longer fighting decay with just external tools. You're using your body's own repair mechanisms the way nature intended. Instead of playing defense, you're actively building stronger, more resilient enamel that can withstand daily challenges without breaking down.